Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin, see what's going on, obviously understand a little bit more about what happens next, right? And if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, just love teaching people how to trade, hopefully you can learn a thing or two here today. And if you'd like to become a community member, link in the description below. The website is now live, at least with the members area. It's still basic, of course, but we are working on that. But bottom line is we don't need to worry about Patreon anymore. So go ahead and check that out in your own time. Open registration here, and we'll be looking forward to getting to know you better. Now, take a look here, of course, at Bitcoin. Here's kind of what's going on first and foremost. We'll look at kind of the basic stuff first and work our way down. But it does look like we're a bit on the overextended side here. We can see continuous green action here, one slight correction, but I think we are due for a correction here soon. So let me go ahead and pull this up here and kind of see what I mean by that. First of all, the simple moving averages are null and void at this specific point, right? Not really relevant at the moment, but it is working its way down to 42,500, the 50-day SMA. So just be mindful of that. We could potentially intersect with that price action eventually. I don't think we're going to see that right away, but I do think that could be an eventuality once we've had our second bottom from Bitcoin. I'll explain what I mean by that here in a moment. But taking a look here at the RSI, of course, we are back up above this trend line. We had this descending type of trend line, essentially. So we broke above that. That's good. That's a good step in the right direction, right? We like to see that, of course. That's helpful. Now, is it ultimately, the reason to take entry? No, I wouldn't say that. But it does help us understand that we're back above this trend line here, this descending type of pattern, and the likelihood of it staying above is a little bit higher than crashing back down. But it comes with a catch there too. In other words, we can't just trust one trading day worth of data above a trend line, right? So in other words, when you first initially break a trend line, it's all well and good, but you need to wait for that candlestick to close. So you'll probably hear me say that a lot. Unless we can get this candlestick here today to close above a certain price point, which I would say, somewhere above 38, 39,000, then again, we won't want to consider that to be a good, successful close. So the bottom line here is that when it comes to a candlestick sticking above or staying above a trend line like that, we want more confirmation, and more confirmation is essentially a few, in my opinion, a few days, right? I want to see a couple, at least 2 or 3 days above that trend line to ensure that we are in good shape. So it's just a little premature to me. Of course, I like to have good confirmation, not just an initial, break above. I like to make sure that it holds above. Okay, so I would just be cautious and exercise a little bit of caution there, because I don't think that we are for sure in the mix here. In fact, why don't we take a look at TD sequential and see, because this is one thing that I think is relevant to understand. If we look at the numbers here, we're at an 8 right now for TD sequential, which is quite high considering Bitcoin's previous behavior. Okay, so again, this is a good sign in a sense, right? Because if we look at previously, you see we hit a 6, we hit a 6 there. A bunch of resets. We might have hit a 4 and a 2. There was a 9 as well. So let me translate that. What I'm getting at here is the fact that when Bitcoin hits a 9, it has a tendency of retracing and coming back down. Bitcoin is going to hit a 9 after tomorrow's trading day, potentially, right? The likelihood of that's fairly high. That being said, how much longer can it sustain this upward momentum with the amount of volume that we've had recently? It's not a tremendous amount of volume. So if we kind of look at the volume profile here, it's the least amount of volume overall in each one of these sections. Obviously, again, there's only about 9 or 10 days worth of trading here. Obviously, that's the case. But Bitcoin needs a stronger foundation in volume before it can continue to increase, especially if it's reaching a state of exhaustion on the 1 day. That tells me that we could and should likely see a turnaround soon. Again, no guarantees on that, but based on its history, anytime it hits a 9, it'll come right back down, and it has yet to hit a 9 in the recent past, which basically just tells us that, yes, this is good, this is nice, it's progressing upwards, but it's coming up to a key level resistance at 40,000, as well as the fact that it doesn't have a strong foundation of volume at this current time, because there's not enough trading that's occurred yet, right? So I would say that fear, uncertainty, and doubt allows for the lower amount of volume. A lot of the volume's coming away from this and going into some altcoins too. You might have seen some altcoins pumping recently, and that's a big part of it. So anyways, that's kind of just the big picture there with a 1-day chart, right? Trying to get you to think abstractly here a little bit more, because it's not just all about breaking these trend lines. So we've seen what happens when it breaks a trend line. It comes up and it comes crashing back down. I don't think we're going to see it come crashing down, but I do think we're going to see a slow bleed down to at least 37,000, if not lower. That's just my personal opinion here at this point, especially with how large these candle wicks are. It looks like it's trying, but it's having difficulty getting past a certain resistance level, which at this point is right around 37,800. So it does look like sorry, correction, 38,800. 38.8 is essentially the number. Okay, let's take a look at the moving averages really quick. Excuse me. So we've got the 50-day SMA working its way up. That's good. That could potentially hold as a support, but the 200 is working its way down. So, that's kind of, I guess, average news. There's nothing really great to extract there, except for the simple fact that we could essentially use the 50 as a support, but the 200 will inevitably push the price action down. That could be another reason why the price may not pass 40,000, because that 200-day SMA is working its way down. Just say the price were to eventually come up to that point, it could likely get rejected, right? So whether it happens now or in a few days, the 200-day SMA is going to be a factor in the near future, and we'll see how soon, or just how that affects it in the near future. Some positive stuff here for Bitcoin, of course. We up over 50 and below 70 on the RSI. That's a good sign. That's pretty par for the course considering the circumstances there. We, of course, had a recent MACD convergence that really didn't push super hard. It kind of came up 1 or 2,000 or about 1,500, and it's kind of gone sideways ever since. So, again, not a tremendous amount of, I would say, confirmation that we have right now. This does look fairly weak, and I think the likelihood of a turnaround is greater just based on the macro data so far. Let's look at the micro, at least kind of identify a little bit more here. So Ichimoku Cloud, I don't like this. And let me explain why. So first of all, we've got, of course, the lagging span is free and clear of price action, but it's close, right? So not great there. What I do not like is the conversion line, hitting the baseline. Anytime that were to happen, it's oftentimes time for a reversal, and it's usually a cause for concern because there's 2 rules on the Ichimoku Cloud, right? Well, actually, there's 3. The first one is, of course, to be above the cloud. We've been above the cloud for some time. It's all well and good. Could even work as a support level if the price comes down. But that is essentially check number 1, right? We're good there. The lagging span cannot touch any price action either. That's rule number 2. It's close, so we're almost there. And the third rule is to ensure that the conversion line doesn't intersect with the baseline. In other words, this should be free and clear. They should be running concurrent or away from each other, as you've seen right here. And it should not be a situation where they intersect. That is a secondary, that's basically a second signal of the 3, telling us that we're losing that confirmation, we are losing that support potentially from the cloud, and that momentum is shifting. So to me, I personally think that is a big indicator here, a cause for concern, that we could not necessarily see a reversal, but if nothing else, at the very best, we're going to see a continued state of consolidation until it tests the resistance level and gets broken. Or gets rejected, right? I think the likelihood of it rejecting is fairly high, but it is building a little bit of volume in this area, so that's not terrible. I just don't love how this is shaping up, and that the cloud is really telling us a lot right now. So that's not great. TD sequential really doesn't tell us much either at this point. Too much consolidation to really get an accurate read. So, in my personal opinion, I think we're looking, we're not looking terrible, but we're definitely looking like we're going to see some type of turnaround soon. These sporadic increases followed by sharp decreases is not healthy, followed by low volume, and of course the cloud kind of telling us we should probably close our long position. Those are things kind of telling me we're going to see a reversal. So I wouldn't say I'm truly bearish on Bitcoin, but I can tell you though that the overall sentiment here, we're going to probably run into 2 scenarios. The price, if it reverses, of course, which I think is likely to say it reverses now, it'll come down and it'll probably test 37,000. That would be scenario number 1, and to possibly build another foundation of volume and continue to come upwards after that. That could be scenario 1. Scenario 2 would be for the price to come down, test 37,000, and then lose it, and then test 33. I feel like that might be more likely just in the overall sentiment thing. Bitcoin is a fan of double bottoms, and I would be surprised if we don't see another bottom. If nothing else, at least testing 37,000, right? So those are 2 worst case scenarios to the downside. Better case scenarios, the price consolidates further sideways and or tests 40,000, consolidates at resistance, and then inevitably breaks. Once we're back up above the 50-day SMA, on the 1-day chart here, right? Because once the 50-day comes down, we'll be in better shape. Also, we got to bear in mind the 200-day simple moving average on the 4-hour chart is another thing that we gotta be aware of. That's coming down to intersect with 40,000. That'll probably work more so as a resistance than a support. So we could see, a lot of consolidation closer to 40,000. So at this point, I don't think we're going to see any significant, quick moves, but I would not be surprised if the price comes down. I think we're more likely to see the price come down in the immediate future than up. And again, we're reaching that exhausted state. It may not happen today, but it'll probably happen before the weekend. And if it were to come down again, once again, two scenarios, 37,000 and or 33,000. I do think 37,000 is more inevitable based on the simple fact that any good healthy increase, just say this continues, it cannot continue like this, right? That is just unrealistic, and that causes a significant downtrend when that would happen. What I'd more so rather see is the price come down to 37,000, build a nice stronger foundation in volume, get more volume here at this price point, and then the price come up again, right? And that's a healthy correction. That is normal. So we almost want to see Bitcoin come down to 37 at this point, if not even lower, to build that foundation, to be able to go up from here, if that makes any sense. Again, parabolic increases are nonsense. If anybody tells you it's a great thing that Bitcoin shoots to 100,000 in a couple weeks, it's not. There's nothing good about that. The main reason why is because it's going to fall flat on its face the day after. Anyways, we're at this point right now. I think we're going to see a turnaround soon. It may not be super large, but if it is, it's going to be at least 37,000, quite possibly 30,000, sorry, 33,000 as a worst case scenario. I personally don't feel like we're going to see anything lower than 33,000 unless there's some crazy nonsensical news that occurs that is more of a fundamental catalyst causing the price to shoot straight down. But on a technical standpoint, we should expect a correction soon, and I think it would be advantageous to maybe consider a short position in the near future. But once again, it could very well come up to 40,000 first before it comes back down. We could get one more day's worth of bullish momentum to complete the 9 on TD sequential, and then it turns around. That could happen. But HE Mobile Cloud right now is telling us we're likely to see some consolidation and or retracement soon. All right. So you be the judge. You let me know what you consider. Go ahead and comment below if you'd like. And obviously, if you're not currently a community member, our website is live. I'll be honest, the website is not complete yet, but it does have a registration section so we can get away from Patreon, as well as the simple fact that the trading library is there. The Trading Academy is available, and you can kind of brush yourself up on becoming a better trader and have access to all the resources and or the short signal I'm planning to probably send here soon. So I hope you find benefit again. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.